Dima.
I'm hearing you in multiple places.
Look, is now a good time to throw up the technical issues?
Yeah, I'm just muting myself.
I know it. So look, this is exciting because we're doing Clubhouse right now.
Yes, we're chit-chatting with you, and we're chit-chatting on Clubhouse. So join us.
We're chit-chatting all over. I don't know how we're gonna, stop the echo, but we're gonna have fun with it. Let's just see how this works.
Yes.
And so excited that we're in the Clubhouse together. How is your Tuesday? How's your week going so far, Dima?
It's going good. For some reason, I feel very stressed, but I'm trying to calm myself down. Big week. We have Brew, the Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week. We have a lot of good things going on. I'm praying this week would go peacefully. So tomorrow, and a lot going on in 1 week.
When you say that, now it's easy to understand the stress. There's so much going on. There's so much going on.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
But
what about
you? Look, we're fine. That just seems to be the way things are going now. We're switching things up every 2-3 weeks, and it's just a new shuffle of the deck, I guess you would say. But we're good over here. The Wises are fine, and I say that, but things are crazy, and now I'm stressed and I'm tired too. What am I even talking about? I think we're gonna have a good chit chat about something like this today.
I think so, and I should not complain. As a single woman, I should not complain. I look at everybody with kids. I have no clue. I just have to take care of myself and my plants, and I'm overwhelmed. So
plants are a lot. Are you kidding me?
I have to
keep those things alive. At least my 6-year-old can feed herself. It's like, I don't know if the plant can give itself the chlorophyll and go through that whole process without a little bit of water from me if it's inside. So
yeah. What could I say? So we have an amazing guest today. I've been looking forward to this. And our guest is not new to our show.
No.
This is the second time that he joins us.
That's right. Well, this is a part of our Chit Chat Check-In series.
Oh, that's true. And that's what we're planning to do. We're bringing our guests that we started with last year, and we're checking on them to see how they're doing. You
might have talked to Johnny since then, but we had Johnny on the show back when we were doing 3 shows a week, and it was a morning show, almost mid-morning show. It was May 8th. Oh, doesn't that feel like it's been 3 years?
It feels like it was 2 months ago.
For me, it feels like it's been so long. Like me and Johnny are old pals now. And
so much happened. So much happened since then.
So much. So look, let's get him on. Let's talk about it. Let's get this Chit Chat Check-In going. What you think?
Check-in.
Check-in. Check-in. Check-in.
Check-in. Yeah.
All right. Come on, Johnny, with our Chit Chat Check-In. Chit Chat Check-In.
Y'all are so weird.
I know it. Hey, Clarissa on Clubhouse Clarissa. We have our first
guest. I have to take
us first guest. She's awesome, by the way, and I haven't seen her beautiful face in a very long time. But Johnny, you are our guest. We need to talk to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Boy, last time, man, May what? It was sometime in May of 20.
Early May.
And we are still in the weeds with this COVID stuff. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Are we more in the weeds now than we were when we first talked, Johnny?
I think so, but I think it's a different in the weeds. It's we got the vaccines out, and the vaccines weren't out then, and several more kind of popping out, in the coming weeks and months. We've just got to get this thing under control. And there are a lot of non-vaccine people in my circle. I'm not one of them necessarily, but I'm just hearing so many different stories. I mean, you can find 1,000 different kind of stories on depending on who you talk to about. I heard one the other night from my cousin in Beaumont, Texas.
Okay.
She said that we're going to be. This is how they're putting chips in our microchips into our body. You know, like the microchip in a dog, and I'm like, where do you come up with it? And she's an intelligent, educated woman. And I'm like, I don't know, man. But with my first visit with you guys, it was about the anxiety, because I've got this anxiety disorder, and you throw a guy with an anxiety disorder in the middle of a pandemic, and that's just not funny. That's not funny at all. But I actually got it. I actually, and I did everything I could possibly do right, and actually ended up getting COVID. I think I got it on a trip. I'm not traveling, but a very dear friend of mine, he's like a little brother. He's, I kind of, I kind of grew him up in TV a little bit. His name is Graham Olkins, and I hired Graham at another company I was working for right out of college. And I guess Graham must be about 35 by now. But I met him when he was in his early 20s, and he just grew and exploded with his talent. All I did was offer him an opportunity. He had the raw talent that got him where he was, and he's ended up for a long time on Channel 9, and his hometown is Baton Rouge. But he was getting antsy. He's 35 and wanted to move on with the career, and didn't feel like there was a lot of opportunity right now. I mean, there's great opportunity within our company, but here in the Baton Rouge area, it wasn't coming fast enough, because they're not going to, blow somebody out just to promote another person. So within our company, he got a great opportunity to go to with a brand new startup. In fact, they've had a soft launch in January, and they're officially launching tomorrow. It is a 24-hour news service, nationwide news service, online only. And the idea was for our company, Gray Communications, everybody that has the news apps in all of our markets, you can watch the live newscast, at 5, 6, 10, whatever, but you don't have anything to watch between newscasts. So what Gray did is they developed a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day news service that will be able to go on all these apps at all of our stations to have live programming and live news. And it's the first of its kind. I'm incredibly proud of our company, and they are neat. From ground up. But the home base for this is in Omaha, Nebraska. So homeboy Graham went to Baton Rouge Magnet High School and really never left home, and spent his entire young adult life here. Moved to Omaha. So when he announced it, all of his friends that he hangs with we're all excited about, it's going to be a road trip. It's going to be fun. We'll make this happen. We'll move you. Well, as the weeks went along, and he was going to move the weekend right after Thanksgiving, when as it got closer, one by one, they started crawfishing on him for different reasons. And I had told him a long time ago, I said, if you need any help, let me know. I was thinking if you need any help loading the moving van, but I'm a professional. Hey, Robert, I'm a professional driver, as you may or may not know, and work for the number one motor coach company in the world, Dixieland Tours.
There you go.
So with my CDL and being a professional motor coach driver since 2009, I believe, is when I got my CDL. Graham was nervous about the trip, and he's pulling his car behind this huge moving van. And I'm like, okay, what do you need? And he goes, can you move me? And I said, okay, I'll do it. So I said, now look.
Move me in a pandemic, Johnny. That's a good friend, man. That's a good friend right there. Graham.
Anxiety disorder.
And then he ended with the COVID.
Look, he paid you back.
How did you say no in the COVID?
So I worked Monday after Thanksgiving, and that Tuesday morning, he and all of his buddies loaded the van on Monday, and that weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, he had a ton of going away parties, and that age group, they're not masking up, and so I was already suspicious and nervous, but it's like, what do you do? I mean, I felt a strong calling to help him. I volunteered to help, and when I volunteer to help somebody, I don't put and probably should, but I don't put conditions on it. If you need my help, I'm there to help you, whatever you need. And that's been me my whole life. And if I'm truly not going to help you, I won't even extend the invitation that I might help. So we left on Tuesday morning in this big moving van, gorgeous weather. And I had already mapped out the trip. I spent 2 or 3 days, as I would any bus trip that I charter, mapped out the trip. And here we go. We strike out to Omaha. We drive on Tuesday. It's me and Graham and his dog in this moving van. And we drive from Baton Rouge to Joplin, Missouri the first day, and spent the night in Joplin. And then the second day we went on into Omaha. That would be Wednesday, and unloaded his van. Just the two of us unloaded his van. Thank goodness it wasn't. He was going to go a week after that, I think, and for some reason got bumped up a week. He needed to be at work earlier than what they originally told him, because the week after that was a blizzard over in Omaha, and we would have been unloading that truck in snow. So at this point, it was beautiful skies, just cold, So we unloaded the van on Wednesday, spent Wednesday night at his new apartment in Omaha, and he bought my plane ticket and flew me home on Thursday. And masked up, had some. I had an ability to get. I had an ability to get first class on the way back, so that I could be as far in the front of the plane as possible. And it was 2 flights, Omaha to Houston, Houston to Baton Rouge, and that was Thursday evening. I got back late Thursday night. I worked Friday, felt great. Saturday started feeling a little scratchy throat. Sunday running fever and tested positive for COVID. So it was like, and Graham and I wore our mask. I don't know if this is going to be able to show. I was going to send you pictures, Dima, but I don't know if you can see this. Whoops, I knocked it over. Hang on. Here we go. This is me, Graham, and his puppy dog in the car.
I see the puppy dog.
Oh, I see the masks.
Yeah, you wear masks.
Driving. And
with
Graham,
your colors. Yeah.
And we wore the mask the entire time, because I told him, I said, I know you said you wore your mask all weekend at these going away parties, but but here's the deal. He never came down with COVID until last week. So it was 6 weeks after the trip that he got it. But I got back on Thursday night, felt fine Friday, scratchy throat Saturday, Sunday, feverish, tested positive for COVID. So the doctor said, here's the deal. Are you having trouble breathing? I said, no. And my oxygen was, the little finger thing they put on you was like 98. And I just felt achy. I had the weirdest headache. You hear about the COVID headache. It's just weird. It was in the back of my head, down into my neck, and just part of my shoulder. But it wasn't anything like I'd ever felt. It was I could tolerate it, but it was weird. And I had that for like 3 days. I had the chills and a low-grade fever, like 100.9, I think was as high as it really ever got. Just enough to make you feel like crap, if you will pardon my expression. And on day 7, completely lost my smell and taste. It was the weirdest thing, because I had this jar of peanut butter. In fact, I might have mentioned it back in, somebody said that I probably got it from the airport. That's what I was thinking, because we were safe and everything, and I wore my mask. The airports didn't have a lot of people in them, but I just don't know how. And I was skeptical about going, but you got to help people out. And I knew the risk, and I'm like, well, I'll do it. But I got back and got COVID. But I had my equipment here at the house. I was telling Dima and Rob before we got on, when I was backstage, which is so cool. This whole thing. So the 3 of us were backstage. The 3 of us were backstage talking before we went on. And our company is Gray Communication, incredible broadcast company. I love them to death. They sent everybody that could possibly work from home at all 93 of our markets across the country home before Thanksgiving, because they were expecting super spreader events for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and they just didn't want to have everybody coming back from these holidays and infecting each other and not having enough staff to run the TV stations. Legitimate concern. So they sent all of our off-air departments home: the sales department, the marketing department, the web or / internet department, creative services, which is our production department. All of these departments are working from home, and everybody that's all of our reporters and our photographers have their own equipment and their own vehicles, and they are working from home, being dispatched to go cover stories from their house. And that left 3 sets of equipment for 3 other people to go and work from home that were on-air anchors. And I'm not sure how they picked them, but they picked Greg Merriweather, our evening main anchor. They picked me for the morning show, and they picked one of our sports guys, Jacques Doucet. What they were trying to do is every show they were trying to minimize the people that were in the studio at any given point in time. So that was before Thanksgiving. So I was already working from home before I went on the trip. So I got up that Monday morning, the Monday after the diagnosis, and I went on the air. And Tuesday and Wednesday were the worst days. Probably shouldn't have gone on the air. The alarm went off, and I was just, I can't even explain the fatigue. It was a weird, it wasn't tired. It wasn't sleepy. It was a, I can't move my hand, so it was just no energy. I mean, on steroids, no energy it was crazy. So, but I got up and went on the air and did the morning show from 4:30 to 9 and went right back to bed, slept the whole day, same day the next day. And then by Friday, I lost my smell and taste that Friday. It was a good 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe before I started feeling some semblance of normal. And that was in December 5th, I think. And I'm just now starting to get the smell back. In fact, it's not near as strong as it was before COVID. And so some things I can't smell yet at all. And I've got a very good friend that's a neurologist here in town, Dr. Jerry Dines. And Dr. Dines said, look, that's the least of our worries with COVID. He said, it'll come back. Don't look for it to come back anytime soon. And it's going to be the last thing that gets back to normal. So the neurologist is not worried about it. And he and I go to church together. And the only thing he told me, he said, look, just make sure you shower before church because you're not going to know how bad you smell. I'm thinking, well, if he's joking about it.
You have no clue.
Look, if you don't get anything from this broadcast, you should get that.
Shower.
Get it? Shower.
You lose your smell, shower. Every day.
Remember to shower. Remember to brush your teeth. Use deodorant.
That's one of the things, though, that's weird because I have this strong deodorant soap. I can't smell it. I can't smell shampoo, but I can smell my cologne. I can smell peanut butter again because I had my go-to jar of peanut butter since March. I go to the peanut butter in the pantry and sniff it twice a day since March. And when I got up that Friday morning and couldn't smell peanut butter, I lost it. I'm like, oh my God. And a friend of mine said, "What you're in the recovery stages of COVID, you know that's a symptom. You're the only one that will have a panic attack because you wake up and can't smell peanut butter." I guess it just solidified the fact that, wow, I really do have COVID, But mentally, wow. So the illness itself, I have been much sicker and missed work with fever and under the covers with a sinus infection that was worse than my experience with COVID. Thank the Lord, but mentally it messes with you because there's that unknown element. They don't know what causes a 103-year-old lady to have recover from it and a 41-year-old in Shreveport, Luke Letlow, to have the problems he had and die with it. And since then I've lost a first cousin in Beaumont, Texas. Same thing. She was got very dehydrated. She's just a little older than me. She got very dehydrated and went to the hospital, and they pumped her full of fluids and did all the tests, and she tested negative for COVID. And then went back home, and within a week was back at the hospital in an ambulance, and just went down. They tested her again. She was positive for COVID, all the symptoms. Ended up on a BiPAP machine, then ended up on the breathing machine, the ventilator, and never got off the vent. And we lost her Christmas Eve morning. So I mean, it's just it is. You know, when I see people without masks, and when I hear people, some in my own circles, that talk about that's my civil liberties being, you know, that's my freedoms being lit. You know, no. It just gets under my skin, you know, because not only have I had it, and thank the Lord was a milder case, I've lost a family member, you know, a first cousin, and I think they're going to find, you know, and I'm not a scientist, I just play one on TV. I think they're going to find a gene or a chromosome or blood type or a combination that's going to eventually zero in on why because you see 4, 5, 6 people in the same family, in the same bloodline, get it and die or have the hard time with it. The good news about today versus when we were on in May is they've learned a lot more. They're learning how better to treat. They're having fewer people requiring ventilators. They're having more people that were on the ventilator now getting off the ventilator. At one point, if you got on the ventilator with COVID, it was like a 75 or 80% chance you weren't going to get off of it, and that percentage has gone down. So but we are far away from being out of the woods with this thing. And I would just appeal to everybody to tighten up. Don't loosen up because vaccines are out. Tighten up. I think we're going to be dealing with this for the entire rest of 21. And I think normalcy, what we all consider normal, in my opinion, is not going to be until early 22, spring of 22. And I'm okay with that, you know? As long as you go into it knowing the realities, I think you could be, you know, you're going to be less anxious about it, because that's kind of the way I've been talking to myself about it. But
so
go ahead, Dima.
I have a feeling we may be trying to ask the same thing. So you touch on the point of how COVID affected you, and it's not just the physical. You said you were more sick in sinus infection. In your situation, in our first show, when you joined us, you were talking about like anxiety and depression. So how did that affect you from that aspect? The fear, like you get COVID, you may die. So tell us about that.
It wakes you up. It wakes you up to the reality that we all know, but we don't really have it in our forefront of our conscious, that you are not in control down here on earth. Whether you believe in God or some type of higher power, there is a higher power that is in control, and it ain't you. And for a control freak, you know, that really worsened the problem. I remember when I went and got tested, and they did the rapid test, and the rapid test is showing more false negatives than false positives. So what they do is they go way up into your brain, and then apparently they go put these swabs into a solution, and you wait 12 minutes or whatever. If there's a doctor or a scientist watching, that they will be able to explain it better. But and if the solution doesn't turn a certain color or turn a color, then you're negative. And they usually wait 10 to 12 minutes before they come back in the room and say, you're okay, you're negative. But when the nurse came in and she did the swabbing, I started the timer on my phone. I'm thinking, okay, don't come in for 12 minutes. Don't come in for. He came in 5 minutes.
Oh,
wow, if you're opening this door right now, this is not good news. And he said, I am so sorry. You tested positive. He said the second your swab hit the solution, it changed. You know, he said, you're very definitely positive. This will not be a false positive. And
he just wanted to give you 5 minutes of questioning it all.
He must have known, because instantly people with anxiety will relate to this. You two probably won't, but instantly I almost passed out. I almost physically left. And apparently because when he came in and he had some paperwork he was going to give me, and he says, yeah, I'm sorry. You're positive. I hate bringing these kind of news to people. And he said, are you okay? And I went, no, you just told me I have COVID. And he goes, no, I mean, right this second, are you okay? He said, put your heads between your legs. Put your head between your legs. So he must have known that I was about to go, you know, because it scared me so bad. I was so convinced I had sinus or allergies or whatever, and not COVID. And I hadn't lost my taste and smell. Well, now they're finding out that's not necessarily the first symptom. That might not be a symptom at all. But if you do lose your taste and smell, more people are losing it after day 4, 5, 6 into this thing. So I didn't know that at the time. So I'm thinking, well, I can smell, I can taste, I can't have COVID. But I put 2 and 2 together, and I really thought it had to be the trip. It had to be the trip to Omaha. I do not regret it. I go to therapy, as you and I talked about in May, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But my therapist, it's every other Thursday religiously. He told me, said, "Do you have any regrets or any second thoughts about going to that?" Not one, because I think we have to help people, and if there's a risk in doing that, you weigh you weigh everything and you make your decision the best you can. But I felt good about doing it when we got to his apartment after dinner Wednesday night, and I was laying on the floor. His mom and dad, who live here and whom I know very well, called me on a little FaceTime call, and Graham and I were talking to him on the FaceTime call, and his dad was doing this and kept saying, "Thank you so much for taking care of our little boy." And I'm like, holy cow. So no, I don't have any regrets of doing it at all. But so now what they're saying is that COVID patients have 3 to 4 months of antibodies, maybe longer, but they said that, the patients that they're doing antibody testing on 3 and 4 months into the post-COVID, they've got some antibodies. So, but yeah, getting back to the mental thing, I got home that night and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got COVID. But I had symptoms for like 3 days. And so the doctor at the after hours clinic said, call your primary tomorrow. You are not in any imminent danger. Your fever, in fact, when I checked in, my fever, I didn't have any fever. And my oxygen was fine. Blood pressure was high, obviously. He said, your vitals are fine. He said, I'm not worried about sending you home. He said, call your primary care tomorrow and do it. So I did, and they set me up with a teleconference. So that was when I talked to my doctor on teleconference, it was day 4 of symptoms by this point. And he said, here's the deal. He said, get you an oxygen meter. He said, are you having any trouble breathing or catching your breath? Or do you feel like you're going to pass out from not being able to get air when you walk to the bathroom? And I said, no, nothing like that. And he goes, how high is your fever? And at that point, it was about 100. And he goes, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take 5,000 units of vitamin D.
Yeah.
Vitamin D is, I think, instead of milligrams, they measure that in international units. I think they call it IU. He said, get you 5,000 units of vitamin D every day. Take 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day, and take 50 milligrams of zinc every day. And Tylenol to control your fever or your achiness. And if you do get a little congested, call me. But if you have congestion or coughing, I want you to take Mucinex or Mucinex DM. And I never took the first prescription drug at all. And took Mucinex one night because I was getting paranoid because I felt like I was starting to feel a little wheeze or a little tickle, which looking back on it was probably more psychosomatic than it was real. And he said, the only time I want you to call me, he said, we'll talk again in a week, but between now and 7 days from now, the only time I want you to call me is number 1, if you cannot control your fever with Tylenol, and number 2, if you start having problems breathing. I want you to call me immediately. He said, but other than that, the people that we're seeing now that are really in trouble, usually by day 5, they're in real trouble. He said, and you're on day 5 talking to me right now, or day 4, I think it was. And he said, I watched you on the air this morning. He said, the people that are having breathing problems can't talk that long, even though it's a 60 seconds commercial. They can't do that every 10 minutes. And he said, so let's just, I have no guarantees for you, but what we're learning, just relax about it. And let's talk again in 7 days. And 7 days I was fever free and had been for a whole day or two, and was feeling really good. No taste or smell. And then it took about 4 weeks, maybe, or maybe even 5 weeks, to get feeling completely normal. But I think that was me and not the general public, because a friend of mine got COVID the same weekend that I got it, and was a week feeling like back to normal, back to work, everything else. I think my
It's all over the
anxiety.
place, though, Johnny. It's all over because, just like you said, both ends of the spectrum. Young friend, early 30s, 3 months plus down. Fatigue so bad it was hard to work.
Wow, man,
Yeah.
that's just crazy.
It's all over. It affects everyone so differently.
And you'll hear 100 stories about COVID from COVID patients, all stories different, and all of them true. And that's what I'm thinking. There's got to be a gene or something in, I don't know. I have no idea what it is.
One of
But
my friends, her and her boyfriend got it, and what they were observing about themselves is they were getting so emotional. So if they're watching a movie, they just start crying. Any small little things make them cry, and we
What do
don't
you
know.
make?
What do I make? I don't know what I would make of it. Maybe their body is tired, but for some reason it affected them beyond physically, like emotionally as well.
Yeah, I gotta echo.
Havoc with your mental state. I don't care who you are. It plays havoc with your mental state when you hear you have COVID. It's almost the new C word, the cancer. You have cancer. You have COVID. And even now, post COVID, where I'm recovered, I still find myself looking over my shoulder and looking around the corner. If I get a cough or a tickle, it's like you don't know if it's going to come back and take you out. I mean, they say.
Well, Johnny, with this being so crazy, when did you, because at some point you have to accept that this is probably going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you reach a level of acceptance? Because when we first talked, that was, I'm not saying that was really early on. We still had like 3 months in, 3 months in, that we were still learning though. That was very fresh. If you look back on it now, I'm not disinfecting the disinfectant anymore like I was back early COVID. My groceries and boxes that are getting delivered aren't staying in the garage for 3 days like I was informed and being cautious about. But at some point, I know for me, because I went through therapy too. I went through, I think, about 2.5 months of sessions just trying to deal with, interpersonal stuff, personal stuff, just it all just kind of wraps up into this crazy package. So I guess what I'm trying to say is at some point you have to have a level of acceptance with this. Yes, this is crazy. I might get this, but I still have to live life. Did you reach that level at some point?
Boy, I did, but I think my spirituality really, really helped. I counseled with my pastor over the phone. Just to refresh your memory, I'm a part of the United Methodist Church, Jefferson Methodist, pretty active in the church. And we had a good friend of mine. He and his wife both got it. Now, they were very active. He was an usher, and he was also part of the audio video team. She was in the choir, and she was on our scripture reading rotation where the congregation takes turns reading the scripture from the pulpit. And she was when they got COVID, they got it in November, and they completely they quit the church. They still believe very much in God and in the church, but it scared them so bad they pulled back and got out of everything. And they're not back yet, and they're not coming back until this thing is under control. So I didn't get like that where I wanted to kind of go into seclusion, but at some point, and I don't know what point it wasn't a point where I can pinpoint, but at some point during this episode, I started to come to peace with the fact that I'm not in control of this. I'm not in control of what it's going to do to me. All I can do is control how I react to what I'm dealing with. And therapy and spirituality helped a lot. A lot of people say if you've got anxiety and if you worry a lot, then you can't be Christian because Christians don't worry. Well, that's not quite true. One of the things people used to say all the time, and I think I've said it to people, is, hey, let go, let God. That is, I don't even say that anymore. That is so difficult to do. But I finally came to grips with the fact, or came to terms with the fact, that we're all going to die. And if you live the life according to the way you're brought up, whatever that might be, that you'll have a comfort in knowing where you're going to be after death. With me, I believe that the spirit is eternal. I believe it lives on, and I believe that there is an afterlife. A lot of people, my best friend in high school lives in Utah, and he thinks when you die, that's it, lights out. You're going, and I'm like, how? There's got to be more to it than that, But yeah, at some point, Rob, I think I did. I think it was more subtle than anything else. But I think at one point I was sitting on the couch and after I'd gotten off the air and I'm in seclusion, and I'm like, okay, we're now at day 6. We're now at day 7. We're now at day 8. Even though people can get better and then go down, that was what. But I tried to keep my mind from going down the rabbit hole. And people with anxiety know what I'm talking about. Because if you let your mind go down that rabbit hole, you will literally lose your mind. So
then two questions like a spin-off of that. And then I know Dima's probably got some brewing too. With that, can you look back now and say that something was like you were doing some silly stuff at all, that trying to be cautious? Can you look at that now and say anything like, man, I might have overdid it in that one little
you talking about like wiping the mail down and stuff?
Yeah,
I would go to a little plug for a local. I would try to keep my business local, and I would go online and order and pay for online from Robert's Fresh Market, the local store that's on Highland off of Kenilworth. And they give you a window of time, not 3 days from now like Walmart, but they say, okay, if you order at 10 in the morning, your pickup time is going to be between 1 and 2. And you go down there, park in front of the store, call the number, tell them your name and that you're here to pick your order up. And they come, and I've got a pickup truck. And when it wasn't raining, they just put it in the bed of my pickup truck, and I would come home. And I would glove up, mask up, and take everything out of the plastic bags and throw the bags away and leave all the stuff in the bed of my truck. And I had a ton of Lysol wipes, would wipe everything down before I brought it in. And before I brought it in, I wiped the countertop down where the sterilized products were going to be sitting. Did the same with the mail, went out there with gloves and my wipes and wiped the mail down as I brought it in and things like that. And then they started learning more and more and more that this is really, really an airborne thing. If you swallow COVID and it goes into your esophagus, your stomach acid is going to take care of it. It's got to get into your lungs. It's got to get into your lungs through your mouth, your nose. Some say it can get through with your eyes, and I think it can. That's the reason, keep your fingers away from your face or whatever. But when they started learning more and more about that, even during my COVID, I wasn't wiping the mail down anymore. I wasn't wiping the grocery. In fact, with COVID, I went to the grocery store and picked up a to-go order. But I stayed in the truck.
I know. That's
like,
what.
Okay,
stay home.
I gotta get something in the pantry.
Good for us.
So I masked up. I called them from my truck. They came out, and I left my windows up, and I just told the guy back in the truck, and he did like this. So I was not, and I didn't go anywhere else. I went to the grocery, put it in my truck, came home. But boy, some people can't even do that. They can't walk to their car, much less get in it and drive somewhere. But it was weird because I did that after about 4 or 5 days after diagnosis, and it felt weird driving. It was like, am I going to have a problem on the road? Am I going to, lose consciousness on the road or what? And then I had to do stop. I use that stop. A lot of psychologists or psychiatrists will tell you, the stop therapy or whatever, and to stop my mind from going down the rabbit hole. And for me, projects, really, I kept really busy with little projects around here. I got a lot done around the house, but so when I got better and got out of quarantine, I didn't have a project, and I started going down that rabbit hole again. So we got a new pastor at church, and she's dynamic, and we have she's very high tech. So she's pushing me now. We've got new software, new hardware. I'm up at church like, 6 hours a day for 4 days a week now because I'm learning this new software. So it's almost like, for me, it's God, and it's almost like God said, okay, you got to get another project. I'm going to plug you over here. So somebody's looking out for me. It's not coincidental, I don't think at all. But yeah, I stopped doing some of those silly things that I was doing, and they weren't silly at the time. They didn't know. They didn't know.
I only asked that to start the dialogue because I think back then we didn't know enough. And honestly, I definitely had plenty of shaming coming this way for the things that I was doing that was kind of overkill. But looking back, I was trying to protect my family. Like that's where that came from. All of that, taking it overboard, I would do that any day of the week if it meant keeping my family safe, especially in an unknown circumstance that I've never dealt with or had no historical experience. So for me, that's where that was coming from. Looking back on it, I can laugh because yes, we were doing our best, but you don't need to take it that far, Rob. But I wanted to ask because I feel that's normal, and I just wanted to kind of normalize that and talk with you about that, Johnny. Because
and I got shame too, and I didn't care. When you have an anxiety disorder like this,
I didn't care. I was keeping people safe.
I don't care. I don't care what people say. What other people think about me is none of my business. So yeah, but I'm not doing that anymore. But I think I am washing, and I do have I go to Costco and get gas, and I've got in my car a pump bottle and automatically do this.
Yeah.
Before I pick up my keys and do that. But I don't know. I never felt stupid doing that, and I had neighbors that were like, "Are you really doing that? Should I be doing that?" I'm like, "Do what you want to do. I'm doing it."
I still wear gloves, so I have my mask, but I wear also gloves when I go to the grocery store. When
you can't be too safe, you can't be too careful. As much as they know, there's that much and more they probably don't know about this thing.
Even like when I fill gas, when anything, I keep gloves.
Smart lady, absolutely.
Look, I had gloves. I had the sanitizer, the key opener. You know, like the key to open the door.
Yeah.
I bought 3 of them, one for each keychain. I had one for my mom. I shipped out there. Like I got, I went to whatever was available.
Yeah. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
Yeah. Well, that's smart compared to some individuals that say, I don't want to wear a mask or and that's what happened. If you remember, I went to an awards ceremony for Rob like about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And people there, they were saying, oh, it's wonderful to network together and be together again because it was a live event. And they said, we'll just do our thing and God will protect us. And I'm thinking, we need to do our part. God will protect us. So yeah.
We were masked up. We got proof.
Yeah, well,
we're masked.
I was going to restaurants before. That's why I think it was the trip, because since March, we had the period of about 60 to 45 to 60 days where nobody was open. You didn't, but as they moved into phase 2 and restaurants started opening a little bit, I started braving the waters a little and going out with my mask, and I would take my sanitizer to the table. And, at that time they were eating outside under tents and things like that. And then they started limiting tables in restaurants. And so I had already been doing that for, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and was fine. I think it was the trip. And it was either the airport, the airplane. Graham got COVID, but only about 6 weeks after I did. So I don't know that I got it from him unless he was one of those carriers and just didn't develop the symptoms for a while. I don't know.
Yeah,
but, Johnny, you threw Graham under the bus that you drove to Missouri. You know that, right?
Absolutely.
The first 13 minutes of this show, we were going. Look, Graham.
It was a big bus.
One thing about Graham, I don't know Graham, but if his family values you enough to help him in that way, and I saw the one picture I saw, he was smiling. I could tell through the mask.
Yeah,
that's a good man, and I hope he's doing good things in Omaha.
COVID aside, it was a good trip. I I could almost say I could live there, but I don't like cold weather, so that's probably.
Johnny, don't say that yet. Don't say that right now.
It was a young, very young city, very clean city. A lot of young professionals fresh out of college.
Yeah.
It was. I was really enjoying the time. The little bit of time I was there, it was just neat little city. A lot of little. In fact, there was an area where we ate, and that's the thing too. We kept our masks on, but on Wednesday night we had dinner, and on Thursday morning we had breakfast at a It's like a little magazine street. It's like in New Orleans. They had a lot of little eclectic places and mom and pop places, and that's where we ate. And the only time we took our mask off, when we were sitting opposite each other at the table, that could have been some transmission there. But every time the server would come, they would have masks on, and I'd put my mask back on when the server was there. But who knows? I mean, it's immaterial how I got it. I got it.
I think it's the airplane. So when you think about all the air that we are smelling, like we're breathing, and even if they're circulating the air, that's why it's just weird for me that they let people on the plane without testing them for COVID. You can do rapid. I know it costs money, but to do rapid tests for everybody 15 minutes before they get on a plane. So even like with international, a lot of the flights, they test people after they land. So the damage is done.
Done.
Yeah. So if you're flying, let's say from the UK to the US, they're not testing you before you get on the plane. They're testing you after you land. So if you have one person with COVID on the plane, okay, everybody else is going to get it. And when you're going to land, you most likely will not test positive because you just got it.
I don't understand.
I know. And that's why I need it, the whole thing with the pandemic is making me realize how our system is so inflexible and also how much we are uncomfortable with change. And I think that's the biggest issue that a lot of people are facing. A lot of organizations, the governments, they just not comfortable with change. They're not flexible, and sometimes they make decisions that don't make sense.
The flexibility issue, I think, is more than not comfortable with change. We are a very inflexible bunch. And you look at people like in New Zealand, I think I read, where they have 0 new cases and have had 0 new cases for a long time. And now they're back to what they consider normal. But they locked down and they didn't give anybody an opportunity to even whine about it, And over here, we're very privileged and we're very spoiled people here. We're whiny. Nobody's going to tell me what to do, kind of thing. And it's like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, it's also linked to women in power. So when you have women leading governments, we tend to do well.
But we'll find out, won't we? Tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll find out. It's going to take more than tomorrow, but yeah.
I'm so proud of our country. I can't talk bad about Trump. I can't talk bad about Biden. I'm just an American, and I'm proud of our country. I have very strong opinions about what could have been done differently, and maybe we would have been in a different spot today. But it is what it is. It's done, and we got to move forward. We can't kind of keep hanging on and beating up, and we got to move forward.
Yeah.
But I love the office of the President of the United States, and I respect that office tremendously. And there would be some things I would have liked to have seen done a lot differently. But it is what it is, and now we move forward. Brand new day tomorrow, new administration tomorrow. Let's go. Let's go. So
we said flexibility. We said earlier on. We said fear. There's change. I mean, do we reach a point where there's almost too much change that we become then inflexible?
Wow. Interesting. That's very interesting.
Johnny.
And Rob, we're so funny.
What?
Johnny.
You're like,
I got that reaction from you, but I was not expecting it to go that deep. But
wow.
Maybe I said something smart, and I need to go back and listen to that.
You might have said that.
At least I taped it.
I think there's some truth to that, though. I really do.
I just wonder, overstimulation. We get too much, like it's just overwhelming to a certain extent, and then like a protective.
I stopped watching TV, stopped watching the news. I think, I love my company. Our company is incredibly responsible with information, but you have these 24-hour news channels that have really done a disservice, whether you're watching Fox or CNN it doesn't matter. Both sides, they've done such a disservice, I think. And a friend of mine told me, he said, well, think about it. When I was growing up, you guys are too young to remember, but when I was growing up, you had ABC, NBC, CBS. That was it. And they all went off at midnight and came back on at 5 or 6 in the morning. And when the newscast was on, you watched from 5:30 to 6, Walter Cronkite on CBS, and that was it. Now you have 24/7, 365 of airtime that needs to be filled with something. And people are going to click and not watch if every time you come on and, hey, we had another 1,050 people that were recovered today from COVID, It's like there's still a small percentage in the grand scheme of things of people that are going to get really sick and end up dying. And I can say that, and I've even lost a dear cousin, but and friends. A friend of mine's dad died yesterday. Mom and dad both got it. Both ended up in the hospital. Both come out of the hospital. Dad ended up back in the hospital a week later and ended up passing away. And you hear stories like that, but that's still relatively low on percentage wise, but that's all you hear about on TV. That's it. And then they got to fill the time.
In the past, I would check the news, and there were sometimes funny things. So they talk about not just politics or COVID. They're talking about like a family who something funny happened to them, or fun. It's just, there was some funny elements, and now it's just so stressful. Like I go to the news and I'm like, and it's so addictive. So I have to constantly keep checking it. There's something about the fear of missing out, that if I don't check the news every hour, something major is going to happen. The world is going to blow up, and I'm going to miss out on that.
Watch what happens with this vaccine in the coming months. I mean, you've already got people, after the first vaccines were out, that have, they're focusing on the reactions of the vaccine, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, every vaccine has reactions. The flu vaccine, people have reactions every year to that. The shingles vaccine, every time. But you don't hear about that. This is no different. You're going to have people that are going to have reactions to the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
But that's all they're going to focus on. It's all they're going to focus on. I got a little, before we get off, I got to get a little plug in. In the middle of COVID, since you and I were together last in May, there have been many hurricanes, and we did some killer hurricane coverage on our morning show, and we were nominated for an Emmy. We've been nominated for now, the Emmy nomination, thank you. The Emmy nomination process is weird because you send your show in unedited, and a group of your peers watches all the entries, the submissions rather, and they determine whether it is Emmy quality or not. Wow. If it's Emmy quality, they send it to an entirely different group. Now you're nominated. You're not just sending you're nominated for the Emmy. And this other group will evaluate, now that it's been narrowed down to the entries, and they will determine if that, you can have one entry per category and not win. It's that tight.
Oh, wow.
We've been nominated as the morning show media market before, and we're the only entry in that category and didn't win. So another set of peers has to evaluate it. And the Emmys were virtual this year, and they were in the middle of me having COVID. And we had submitted a show where we covered the Lake Charles situation, and we were all involved in it. It showed me from my house doing traffic and anyway, we won the Emmy. And this
Are you kidding me?
That is so great. Congratulations.
Oh my God.
What? Bad boy. Isn't that wild?
That's amazing.
This is the same exact statue that the daytime Emmy TV stars get. Same exact one. You don't hear about the local TV stations winning daytime Emmys because, nobody gets that.
You should cover it on your show. Did you? Did you?
We have little, when you watch the show now, the corporation has made an intro to the show. Award-winning 9 News this morning, or Emmy Award-winning 9 News this morning. And some of other people want.
But people need to see the award. You need to
hold it. I mean, that is so cool. I'm a radio guy. I spent 30 years in radio in Baton Rouge and El Paso and Jackson, Mississippi, and ran radio stations.
My award's been keeping me safe.
That's more valuable. That, Rob, is more valuable than this right now. But the Marconi
Johnny, you won an Emmy.
I know. You have an Emmy award-winning guest on your show right now.
Wow.
You just elevated our show.
Add that to the description.
We might be nominated for an Emmy award-winning moment for having your Emmy award-winning moment on our show.
And hey, submit this. This is awesome.
I think we should.
No, but yeah, the big award in radio is the Marconi Award, and that's what I was really hoping to get at one point in my career. TV was never part of my my plan, and TV called me. I didn't call TV, and the Lord's blessed me with a gift. And I don't think that these are necessarily indicative of the quality of what you do, but the fact that your peers thought enough to say, yeah, that's quality work. That makes me feel good. Yeah. So
wow.
There you go. So that was one good thing that came out in 2020.
How did he hold on to that to the end of the show? That would have been the first thing I let in with.
Well, what little I know about broadcasting is you bury the lead.
You leave. Yeah, he needs to leave us at a high.
You buried it. I'm glad you dug this up. I am so impressed and proud of you. Holy cow.
Look at this chat. The Chit Chat Emmy. I agree. Thank you.
Chit Chat Emmy. Let me get out of the way here. Chit Chat Emmy.
That is amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, this is crazy. It's crazy. It's just surreal.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a long way to go, guys. If you're watching, make sure you mask up, wear gloves if you need to, wash, sanitize. We have a long way to go. We got
overdo it. It's okay. It's okay to overdo it.
Yeah, you don't want COVID. Even if you get a mild case, it's going to mess with you mentally, and it's still kind of doing a number on me. And right now, this minute, I'm planning to get the vaccine when it's my turn, but you got a lot of people that are scared of the vaccine and scared of government control and chips in your body and all that. And it's like, let me tell you something. A friend of mine said, look, I don't want them to know where I'm at. I don't want them to find me. I said, let me tell you one thing.
They know where you are.
Don't pay your taxes 1 year. The IRS knows exactly where you are.
Well, you worked for the IRS for 30 years. That's a correct statement.
You're carrying your cell phone. They can find you from your cell phone.
Yes.
Yeah, so they know who you are.
What are you guilty of that you're so scared?
Oh.
That's what I asked my cousin. What are you guilty of that you're so frightened about this? I don't know.
Yeah, well, they've been talking about the chip, putting a chip in people for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have you after the vaccine. We'll have you come back, and we'll have you on the Chit Chat show.
Chit
Chat show. Oh, Rob, you gotta hit this.
What was the chicken we were talking about? Oh, chicken. Oh, okay. Chit Chat.
Come on, Dima. Keep up.
I think Rob will do a better job. So here we go. There we go.
We'll have to come back on.
I have to try. So Chit Chat Check-In.
Chat Check-In, yes. The Chit Chat Check-In. So when all three of us are microchipped, I mean vaccinated. Chit Chat Check-In, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness.
Hey,
you do a better job. You're good at that.
Are y'all going to take it?
Rob, you say it.
I know.
Rob, you go.
The Chit Chat Check-In.
To the Chit Chat Check-In.
Okay, here you go. Good. We're
y'all
good.
both going to take it? Have you decided yet if you're going to take it? The vaccine?
I'm going to get it eventually.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Hold on. Wait, my camera.
I want them to test it more before I take it. So I wanna make sure that there's more work done on
Yeah.
it before I do take it. But by the time I take it, it's going to be the end of the year anyways.
Yeah, same here. And you got almost a year of trials that have been out with all these places too, and then the real vaccines in people. So you're gonna have 18 months of stuff already out there. So we'll see.
True.
See what
I mean, if it means I can go see my mom and grandma safely, then what?
Yep.
It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to process. But I mean, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why when Biden took it and then Kamala took it, I'm like, oh, if there's something wrong with this vaccine, we're in so much trouble. We just lost our president before he's inaugurated.
My 85-year-old mother in Houston took it at Methodist Hospital, took the first of 2 last week. And I said, well, you're not worried about Corey, our cousin, where she said they were putting a chip in you? And she goes, honey, she goes, I'm 85. By the time they get ready to do something with this chip, I'll be gone. I don't care.
But you see, even though they talk about this 94 effective, 94%, it's really, I don't believe it's 94%. So even the ones that get it, make sure you keep wearing your mask.
Yes.
Keep being careful.
Yeah.
Just taking the vaccine you're not free to do your thing.
No. That's what I said. That's what a friend of mine said. Come out to eat with us. And I'm like, well, I'm skittish about it right now. He goes, dude, you got the antibodies. I'm like, nah, I'm still, I have gone out to eat a couple of times and, I mask up, wash my hands. You just don't know. I mean, just be safe. Be safe.
Yeah.
Just do your best.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we're asking. Just do your
I'll
best.
I'll wear the mask for the rest of my life. I don't feel like my freedoms are being invaded on. I just don't get that part. I don't get it. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't get it.
It was wonderful chit-chatting with you, and we just got a comment. You wanna add it, Rob?
I got it.
Okay.
Chit
Chat Check-In. Yes. Yes.
It's documented. It's in writing right now, so we have to bring it up.
Chit Chat Check-In. I love that. I love it. Yeah, well, let's all, whether you get vaccinated or not. When I get mine, I'll holler at you and say, hey, I've got my vaccine.
Yeah.
Let's chit chat.
Johnny, I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna have you on the Chit Chat Check-In, and then we're gonna put it at another odd time on a different day. We're gonna say
Y'all are just trying to make it hard for me to find you.
Yeah,
Man.
totally gonna confuse you.
Dima, have fun Thursday. She's chairing a panel. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so join us, listen in.
Yeah, but how can we get to it? Are you allowed to say?
I'll send you the link to how to sign up. Okay. And this way you can just register. It's for free and you can join. And I have a feeling that so we have Orhan is on our
what up, oh daddy, on the Clubhouse.
Yes, he's on the Clubhouse.
Wow,
this is great,
man.
John, I get you in the Clubhouse.
I guess I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
It's a brand new social media, and Rob invited me to it yesterday. I've been hearing about it recently, where it's still in beta, and you can join and have chat rooms and just talk, as if we don't have enough social media, and you have your followers joining and listening in to you talk. So it's no video; it's just audio.
Just audio.
Well, in the coming days or whatever, I want to get with you, Rob, on the phone because I like the new setup. This is different than when we were on in May. I don't know what this is.
It is. We got a little upgrade.
I like it.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, but they had a little. We all wore our masks, but I went to a concert the other day, and it only cost me 45 cents because it was 50 Cent and Nickelback.
Oh, you got us. Look, if we didn't win the Emmy before, we just did.
You can use that one, by the way.
Johnny, just dropping bombs on us today. I love it. It has been really good catching up with you, my friend. I am so glad that we got a chance to talk. And it looks like you're feeling better, doing better.
Yep. And I keep my friends in a group prayer, so I'm continuing to pray that you guys just do not get it and make a wise decision about the vaccine and just protect yourself and your families.
We will do that, Johnny, and thank you so much for being on the show. Dima, what a great I mean, I got to tell you, your friends keep us entertained. That's a gift.
Thank y'all so much. Good to see you both. You look fantastic.
Great to see you, and thank you for giving us the time to join and to share all of the wisdom. I know that a lot of people can benefit from this. You talked about how important it is to connect with your spirituality, to check what you're telling yourself, and what did you say? Like, stop it. So whenever you're saying something, and to continue to be careful, regardless.
Self-talk, man. Don't go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Love it. We'll do it. Thank you so much, Johnny. This has been awesome. You stay safe, my friend.
Have a great week. Good luck Thursday, Dima.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Well, that's it, everybody. And just a reminder, our show is over today, but we are looking forward to next show next week. If you've got a guest, we want you to suggest some amazing guest speakers, community leaders, and anyone who has a great story to tell. They definitely got to be as cool, as funny, and as amazing as Johnny. We will not take anything less. So look, tag or post them in the comments so we can reach out and get them on our show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it. Have a good one. Stay safe and test negative.